So I actually want to start by getting both of your career trajectories, because I feel like people see successful women and they're like, well, overnight success. So how the fuck did you guys get here?
Well, I'm really flattered that you think we're successful.
Yeah.
First of all,
You are kidding?
wow. First of all,
She's like, oh my
let me
God.
just revel in that for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want me to start? I guess so. My path has always been just kind of all over the place. I was actually in law school, and then I quit to get my master's in teaching, and I was a teacher for a while, and then I got my degree in behavior analysis, which is like I worked specifically with kids with autism, and then now I'm like a D-list influencer. So that's pretty much how my story played out. But no, I mean, I had my kids, and then I started blogging about my kids, and I didn't go back to work after I had them, and I started building a community, and I think I really found a passion in giving people authentic insight into what is working for me in parenting, in health and wellness, and being open about my journey in life. And then you want to know, it's true what they say, like when you feel like when you're doing something that comes authentic to you, I think success kind of follows. And
I agree.
I feel like that is what's kind of playing out in my life. And I'm always trying to tune in, like, does this feel authentic to me? Are the choices that I'm making authentic to what I want to share with people? And then there's also, like, giving people value. You can't just expect to do what you want to do. And if it's fun for you, if you don't have, like, a service to offer people, I do think just having a service to offer people, whether it's just being vulnerable and helping people feel less alone, that's giving back, and I feel like that's going to perpetuate your success as well.
I think for me, I grew up always playing sports, so I was an athlete. I always wanted to play to win. That was kind of my mentality. Post-college, I got into tech, actually. I was at a startup. If you've seen Silicon Valley, the show on HBO, that was my life with, like, crazy Zuckerberg.
Wait. Oh, okay.
I worked at Box. It was the CEO I sat next to had a head full of gray hair, and he's like 27, by the way, like genius.
Like
absolute genius.
Okay, by the way,
smart.
listen,
it was like a movie.
My
totally
poor
Silicon Valley.
husband, the other day, one of our team members came over because we're co-founders, and she's like, has your hair always been this gray? I'm like, no, it's been like over the last year.
Stress of success.
I'm telling
You don't
you.
have gray hair.
Not me. My husband does. Listen,
oh.
I saw a couple, and let me tell you, I saw it the day of my 32nd birthday. I saw one come up here. I've never had a bigger panic attack. I told my assistant to book Botox at that very moment.
That's hilarious.
Because that's going to fix that one gray hair.
Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Botox,
It's all connected.
Botox fixes everything.
How old
Let's
are you
be
now?
real. Yeah.
32.
Okay.
Turned 32
Like,
2
I've
weeks
never
ago.
been the same.
Botox was yesterday. So I did that, and that was a very grindy, if you've seen the show Silicon Valley, that was my life. It was like get there early, be late. We IPO'd, fortunately, and I was able to be a part of that. I went to Adobe. I was a top saleswoman, which was really cool, being amongst men in tech sales. So, and then I met my husband. I have to credit him because he really got me the idea of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. He really and supported me, inspired me to try things outside of my comfort zone. Sales, I knew I could do. I was like, I'm good at it. I talk to people. This is great. He really pushed me to try things outside the box like Sports Illustrated. I would not have been able to do that without the support from him. So that really opened the door for me, is trying something. I tried that multiple years in a row, and I finally made it. I made it into the magazine, which is a very interesting experience. But I learned a lot nonetheless. And I realized then, I'm like, wow, I just made fucking Sports Illustrated. Like, I shouldn't. I'm a mom. I'm curvy. I'm old in the modeling world. And I'm not a model by any means. I don't identify as a model. But it made me realize, like, if you just try and you're consistent and you refuse to give up, you can literally do anything you want. And so that's kind of been addicting, I think, over the last couple of years.
I mean, I do agree with you. I think it's really cool when, like, you know, we set like a challenge for ourselves or whatever, and then you do it and you're like, well, shit, really?
I did that.
It's like, that was kind of a joke, but cool.
I did it. Now what? Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
We met because my sister, whose fiance is in the sports world, is a football player. Her husband, Kristen's husband, and he went to Stanford together. Mm-hmm. So Olivia, my sister, was friends with Kristen. She introduced us, and we both kind of had this reputation of being like a little
outspoken,
maybe like, I don't know, annoying, TMI. So we were like, we should do a podcast together, and then we just were like, no, let's do a podcast together. And then it took a long time to get it up and running,
but
right?
I was just saying, it's like we just did it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the secret back to your question of success is like I've learned it's not always the smartest people. It's not always the funniest or whatever, most talented. I like to say we are funny and talented, but we set a goal. And we made it happen.
Yeah. Well, and also I think it's like
with our team, of course.
Surrounding yourself with, well, there's a Harvard study that says the number one predictor of success is the people you surround yourself with.
Yes.
And I've been seeing, I mean, I get all my information from memes, so this is definitely true. No, but this one is actually legit. And it's so true. It's like, Kristen is like, she helps me raise my vibration and I help her raise hers in a different way. And just the way our personalities, like she's very steadfast and I can be a little like all over the place, but we each bring something to the table. So like just finding a team that works for you. And then she sent me something the other day that was like, most podcasts fail after episode 20 or don't get to episode 20. Yeah. But most successful podcasts don't get successful until after 400 episodes.
Yeah, so they never gave up.
Because they never gave up. So that's why for me it's important to have a partner like her because she will help me like stick through, like just follow through, you know? Like,
and iron sharpens iron. I'm a firm believer of that, back to what you said about who you surround yourself with. And I think we both do a good job at least over the last couple of years, especially with what you've gone through, is like getting rid of the people who don't support you or surface level might say they do, but being around quality, good people who support you and will call you on your bullshit, or say, "Hey, Kristen, you need to open up more. Try this." Like that's exactly
no gossipers.
Yeah,
like
it's iron sharpens iron. For
I
sure.
love this thing that you bring up because it's a conversation that I have with younger women, and I personally think it is so important because I think that when you surround yourself with people who are inspiring and like pushing you to be the best version of yourself, I think it. Like your version or your idea of what's normal and what you expect for yourself sort of shifts, right? Like if you are only hanging out with people who gossip and like don't do anything in life, then you think that that's normal, okay? Mm-hmm. And if not, then you're like, okay, wait, like I expect more for myself because this is what I'm surrounded by. So for anyone who is maybe trying to make shifts in their lives, what advice would you guys give them for attracting quality friendships?
I think just being hyper aware of the conversation and how you feel after you leave those people, because there's people I've been as in past, because those I've recognized aren't healthy for me. I leave kind of feeling icky or toxic, or I don't like that I have this information, maybe from gossiping. And then there's on the flip side, there's friends I leave, dinner with, and I'm like, I have new goals. I wanted to do this. Now I want to do that.
I feel inspired.
I feel inspired. Yeah. Like I want to create something. Like if you have that feeling of wanting to discuss ideas, not people, and you pick up on that, I think that's a huge sign.
100%. I love that too. And I think that I'm a huge believer in that, like our body has so much more knowledge than we give it credit for. And it is true. It's like the Maya Angelou quote that's like, people will forget what you said and what you did, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. And I know that there are certain people when I spend time with, I feel depleted after.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean they're bad people. Like it literally could just be like the energy is not jiving. And that's fine. Like not everything has to be personal. But to be able to know when to pivot, even when it's inconvenient, pivot in your friendships, pivot in your job, and be okay with living in a little bit of a mess, maybe from that pivot, just like going with what you know to be true by tuning into your body, and with that comes maybe cutting off some people that you were surrounded with for a long time.
Also, I think being intentional about your friends, it's like dating, right? Like I think people just stay in these toxic friendships for like prolonged periods because they don't know any better and they're scared to like go and I don't know, like make better friends or whatever. And I really do think, because I mean, we've moved, my husband and I, like plenty of times in our lives. And I think like it really is like dating, right? Where you go and you meet a lot of people and it'll take you some time to find the right people, but I don't think you should give up on it just because, you haven't yet found your people and just like settle. You know what I mean?
So true. I was actually just saying this yesterday to somebody that like I found it to be such a blessing to move, because if I didn't move to California and I stayed in Rhode Island, I would have just stayed hanging out with the same people, which is fine. They're great people, but it's like, I feel like when I did move, I had no other choice but to like hand select my friends. It's like I got to like completely pick who I wanted to be surrounded by from when I moved here, because I didn't have anybody that I knew for my whole life.
forces you to make new friends.
Forces
Yeah, forces you to make new friends and put yourself out there. I also want to touch on something that you said, Kristen, which was, you know, the mark of a successful person is someone who just like does it, you know, and it's not just going to be successful right away, but like you just do it anyway. And I want to talk about the importance of that because you guys have both switched careers. Like if
Many times.
Yeah, like many times.
Like 30 times between us.
Yeah, and now you're here. So can you talk me through like anyone who's listening who may be at the earlier stages of their careers or maybe they're wanting to switch careers and they're scared? Like what pieces of advice can you give to them?
One of the biggest pieces of advice I heard, what's her name? Rachel Hollis. She wrote Girl Wash Your Face. I actually went to...
Girl Wash Your Face?
Yeah. It's a bestseller. She's huge.
Oh, I don't know it. I love the name.
I went to actually, it was Brendan Bouchard, Gary Vee, Rachel Hollis, and Eric Thomas, amazing people. With Tom Bialu, like these were all speakers I went to. It was one of those like Tony Robbins, like they're like clapping, like where the fuck am I? I heard so many great pieces of advice, and one of them was don't be afraid to throw some shit at the wall. Everyone thinks it has to be perfect. I have to have this job lined up. I have to have this book perfect with these words at this time. It's like throw it out there. You're going to pivot. You're going to grow. You're going to fail. You're going to go back up. You're going to go back down. You're going to go back up. You're going to go back down. That is what success looks like. But don't be afraid to throw some shit at the wall.
Yeah.
See what sticks.
It's so funny that you asked this question because last night I just started following this new girl and she's inspired to write. Have you guys heard of her?
No.
She's really inspirational and so this one she says words for creators who are thinking about pivoting. And she's a writer and when she started writing these little like inspirational blurbs, she said that she blocked everybody that she knew because she just needed like the freedom to like be cringe and like not feel judged by people. So I think also just like sometimes cutting yourself away from people to start. But she says, okay, pivoting on our creative journey is essential. You aren't here to obediently and subserviently please one audience with one sort of art. I know it would be easy to just keep doing things you're already good at, the thing that already has success, but you aren't here to create the same things over and over again. You're here to make an art that calls you. It doesn't need to be art, whatever it is that you do. You deserve to explore all the facets of your creative potential. You have so much more to give. And if you don't let yourself explore different avenues, you're going to become bitter at your current way of creating, and it could become a prison of your own making. Totally believe that. When you pivot, you're not starting from scratch. You've experienced so much with your other past experiences, so you're giving yourself room to play, to fuck up, to be messy. I just think I love her. She has so much. And when you pivot, you might lose some of your audience. That's what it
happens.
Like especially if you're a creator, like on Instagram or something. Like I'm like, oh my god, I'm losing followers because I'm talking about this thing. It's like, well, maybe those weren't your people anymore. Like you got to be okay with like losing some of the people that aren't for you.
And
anymore.
I think too, I truly believe this. If it scares you, it's probably a good thing. That means that's the right direction. If it scares you and you know in your gut this is what you want, fucking just do it. Yeah. And I think that's what it comes down to is just putting yourself out there, doing it. People are going to judge you, including your so-called friends. Just do it. Keep your it was Jimmy Iovine. He said this is think of racehorses. You need to put your blinders on. And I think when you want to pivot in your career or start a company, whatever it is, you need to put those blinders on. Focus on that prize, and anything on the side of you, behind you, do not fucking look at that. Unless they're with you on that journey, it's just noise. Block out the noise, focus, and work towards that a little bit every day and chip away brick by brick. You're going to build something amazing.
Also, I think that people sometimes hold themselves back because they're afraid of what other people think. And there's two things here which really stuck with me. Number one is that if someone is thinking about you, they're likely going to go back to thinking of themselves like really quickly. So it's just such a short like blip, you know?
Yeah.
Number two, I think it's people who you're not inspired by, who are like so obsessed and like saying mean things or thinking mean things, you know? Like, let's be real, Oprah doesn't give a fuck what we're all doing.
Winners are never hating on winners. Ever.
What is I love this quote. It's like, bees don't waste time explaining to flies why honey is better than shit.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep. It's
I
true.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I know you guys did an episode on your 30s versus your 20s. And I think what we're talking about is like it's like one of those things in your 20s where you feel like, you know, you graduate from school or it's like the earlier time in your career and you think you're supposed to have it all figured out. And I think having these conversations is so important because I remember when I was in my 20s, like I switched careers 3 times, you know, and I would come down so hard on myself.
I know. It's like, damn it, I was supposed to be there by now.
And it's hard too in this day and age with social media. I'm seeing like teenagers with Louis Vuitton. I'm like, excuse me, like
for real.
I thought only
Fooey Vuitton.
Yeah, it's probably Fooey Vuitton, but seriously. But like when I was that age, all I wanted to do was like find out how I could get alcohol and like party with my friends. I thought Paris Hilton had Louis Vuitton, you know. But why I say that is because we look like everything's supposed to be perfect. We're supposed to have luxury purses on our way to Italy. I'm like, why is everyone in fucking Italy but me?
Yeah.
You know? But it's like we're supposed to have this all figured out. And remember, Samuel L. Jackson wasn't an actor, an A-list actor, until he was in his late 40s, and he's Samuel fucking Jackson.
Yeah.
Wait, is that for real?
Yes, he was
that.
like, I'm pretty sure he was like a crackhead. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I'll have to fact check there. But he had a late start. There's a lot of late start actors. And it's like,
Well, I mean, Kris Jenner too, right? She was in her 40s before
yeah,
she like.
That's true. She was busy making her. She was planting the seeds.
She had a fine start, I will say.
No, but unfulfilled. I mean, when you think about it,
True.
it's like I'm sure she feels much more
fulfilled now.
Fulfilled
Yes.
now that she's created her own success than like just
100%.
getting money from being married.
Exactly. So I think it's fair to say that success can come at any point in your life, multiple times. It come early on, it come later on in life, it come through different ways. It doesn't have to be a career. It could be through motherhood or relationships or serving others. So I think it's like we think there has to be a step and a point that we have to reach. And it's like I always go back, success looks like this. It's different to everyone.
It does. It totally does. And you don't eat the fruit what is it? You don't eat the fruit from the seed you plant today on the same day or something. It's like, you have
guys,
to be...
Aurora loves her metaphors.
I love my metaphors. You don't eat the fruit from the seed that you plant today.
Yeah.
Today. That's not what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cecilina
We
had that
get
on her
it. We get
Instagram.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's true. It takes a while, and you have to be willing to like be like, it's time to pivot. This isn't working.
I think it's the flower doesn't grow the day you plant it.
That's the same
Something
thing.
like
Rome
that,
wasn't
yeah.
built in a
Okay,
day.
it's
You
kind
can't
of-
count your chickens before they hatch.
What else we got?
The grass isn't always greener on the other side. What else do we have?
What other learnings did you guys have coming into your 30s from your 20s? Like, what are the biggest differences and things that you wish you would have known?
My happiness is a selfish journey, and I need to embrace that and not apologize for it. I think I always wanted to
Really?
make...
I don't like that.
I love it.
I don't think
I've
that's
learned
true
it.
for
I
you.
think I think that you have to protect your peace.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I mean by it. You have to protect your peace, and if it's not serving you, then it's okay. You can pass. You don't have to explain to people, you don't have to give everyone a reason. Sometimes your answer is no. You don't have to make up a reason
Yeah,
or
that's true.
excuse
I get
or
it.
people pleasing. I've let go of people pleasing.
Yeah.
I try to please the people I love and truly, genuinely care about and support me, of course, but I don't need to answer to everyone. And it's like, if it's not for me, it's not for me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Protecting my peace.
I love that. I think that that's definitely something I've grown into as well. But I think also knowing that like when you reach that romanticized destination, the happiness is not going to follow. Like it's, I feel like a lot of us most of us are born with this like hole of like, oh, when I have the kids, I'll feel fulfilled. When I get the husband, I'll feel fulfilled. And like throughout my life, since I've checked off these boxes, I'm like, damn it, that didn't work either.
Yeah.
What's the thing? But it's like, what it is like only you can fill that for yourself. So I think just like learning to know yourself, just like self-loving, as corny as it sounds, but like learning the things that make you tick, that make you inspired, that help you take care of yourself. Those are the things that are going to bring happiness, not a person or a baby or
100%.
Yeah, it's never the external goals. And I think that like when I eased into my 30s as well, I was kind of like the same reckoning that I was like, oh, I can have all this shit, but like, it's really like I have to work on myself internally, and that's kind of where the joy and the fulfillment comes from. It's not from like
Things.
it's not things, it's not accolades, it's literally like yourself, like
Yes.
within. And
Yes.
if everything else is stripped away from you, like, I don't know, like you can still figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to work at it. It's a constant
Oh, yeah.
and down battle. You have to put the self-work in, or you're not going to get that self-worth within.
No,
Yeah.
and even like I feel like it's constant work. Like
Yes.
even when you're at
Yes.
in that headspace, it's like you have to consistently work on it in
You're
order
not like,
to.
oh, happy, like, done.
That's
I'm
it.
good.
I'm here,
Yeah.
like forever. No, it's a constant work in progress, I feel like. So you guys both share about motherhood. Talk to me about that, because the internet can be a weird place, and I feel like, especially, I don't get it, you guys, like I don't have kids, but my friends have kids, and I don't know why people think it's their business to give other people like parenting advice, but unsolicited.
It's my favorite.
We love those.
But how's that journey been for you guys? And like, how do you guys protect your peace when sharing such like such an intimate part of your life?
It is, and we've both decided, and I understand why people don't share their children on social media. We do. It's become part of our brand, but it's also fun because it's like, this is our real life, and we share it. Yeah. We share when our kids take shits on airplanes and splatter everywhere.
I don't really, because I don't want to share anything that can live on the internet forever that's going to embarrass my child maybe in like 3rd grade if somebody pulls it up.
Yeah, I guess I don't think that part.
No, I mean, if it's Nala, if it's like a 3-month-old.
For sure.
But like, I don't know. I try to be a little bit more careful now about embarrassing, about like putting anything that they might be embarrassed by down the road.
Yeah, but I also think that people, I've come to a realization, for me at least, I've told myself this, whether it's motherhood or goals you're going after or a message you're trying to portray, anyone that takes time out of their day to intentionally try to hurt you, it's one thing to offer advice and maybe they come from a good place, but if they're trying to hurt you, like, pray for that person. Like, they're so sad. So that gives me comfort when people try to come for me, at least, that I just honestly pity them. I'm like, you must not. I would never intentionally try to go out of my way to hurt someone in that way on social media.
No,
personally.
yeah, I wouldn't.
So I feel for those people, honestly.
I wouldn't either. But Kristen and I are both very strong believers in freedom of speech.
Yes, we're very convicted.
I would not want any of those comments censored. To be honest, I welcome it because I do feel like the way I approach my sharing is somewhat guided by some of these not so nice comments, because I mean, like, you know, there's truth to some of the things, and I've had to kind of pull back on what I share from my kids. Honestly, I'm always adjusting. There's a lot of things that I don't like to see when parents are like, I don't know, just oversharing their kids' lives. Like, as my kids have gotten a little bit older, when they're babies, I used to share everything, and then now that my son has like a little bit more of his own personality and everything, I'm like, you know, I've been pulling back a little bit just naturally, but I've been feeling it out. And you know what? The mom is the one who the parents know best.
What's best, yeah.
And you just have to respect like the journey of each individual parent. But I do think when you're putting your kid out there and you're putting anything on social media, you're opening it up.
Yep.
And you're
Pandora's
inviting
box.
all of the unsolicited advice. So it's like I never really get mad at people, but I will block you, restrict you, report you.
Yes, real quick. Real quick.
Yeah, it's you gotta protect yourself, man. Like shit that's out there, it's insane.
I know.
So I know you guys really like to keep it real, and so I have to ask you guys, what was pregnancy like? Like your first pregnancy?
I hated it. I hated it.
Okay.
I hated it. It was not this beautiful, lovely.
Yes, mine was.
I loved creating a
My
human.
first, I was like, I am a walking miracle. If this door is not automatic, somebody must open it for me. I do not touch doors. Yeah, no, I loved the first experience of being pregnant. My second one, I feel bad saying this, my poor daughter, but like my second one was horrible. I had postpartum anxiety with my son, and then when I got pregnant with my daughter, it like came back during the pregnancy. It was also 2020 during the pandemic.
Okay.
Like fully during the pandemic. My marriage was falling apart. I mean, there's a lot, like, was it situational? Was it clinical? I don't know. But pregnancy is gnarly experience.
I think it's gnarly is a good way to put it. I think there's a lot that people don't talk about. So women just kind of suffer, if you will, with their husband or under their roofs by themselves, while so many crazy things are happening to you, not just physically. Like, it's not like, oh, I can't see my vagina anymore and it looks ridiculous right now. But there's also like that mental, emotional aspect, and like your body's drastically changing. Like, I remember looking at myself in the mirror, bawling, like, this is not me.
Really?
Like, I felt like I was in a different body, and that was hard for me. I take a lot of pride in my body, and I have a very healthy relationship with food in my body, thank God. I'm very fortunate, but like, I felt out of control. And for someone like we were just talking about OCD, to not have that control was really, really hard for me. And then, of course, you have to go back. It feels like a nonstop journey. I feel like Oprah, like my weight's up and it's down, it's up and it's down, it's up and it's down. And it's a lot to take on emotionally, I think. And I think women are starting to talk about it much more, though.
I think also with my struggles with like addiction and stuff, like since I wasn't taking Adderall and I wasn't drinking when I was pregnant, were either of my pregnancies, and like I've had like a sober journey before and after then, like it was hard for me to not be able to rely on the coping mechanisms that I had been able to use when I wasn't pregnant. So I was like, in a way, it was easier to do it for them than to do it for myself. But like, it is a shock to your mental system if you're relying on a glass of wine every night and you're not able to do that because you're pregnant. And I didn't do it. I wasn't the person who was having the drinks while they were pregnant, just because I knew my propensity to overdo it. So I was like, I'm gonna be good. But that was hard for me. It was like I was detoxing and pregnant and all the things. It's like, there's a lot.
I mean, this is the thing that I think women's experiences through pregnancy is so varied. Like, you know, you were talking about your first experience being like, you know, an angelic woman floating through life, and you were like,
a lot of dresses like this.
Yeah, and meanwhile, like your experience was like,
I can't wait to work out again was my thought all the time. Yeah.
And the thing is that, like you're saying, I think for a long time, people didn't talk about like the ugly, you know, where they were so quiet about it that first time mothers like expected to exclusively have like that experience, and then they wouldn't, and they were like, well, what the fuck? You know, and just like confused.
Yes.
And I have friends right now who are pregnant who I've had these conversations with, and they're like, I don't even know what's happening to my body. Like I feel so out of control and I don't know what to do. So after you guys had your babies, I want to know about your experience after that, because you were dealing with postpartum anxiety and like how was that, and how did you kind of go back into starting to feel at home in your body again?
I mean, with mine, it was like I had seen, you know, I'd heard like the big stories like Brooke Shields, what does postpartum depression look like? It's like, or like you hear the horror stories where the mom like throws their baby off of a cliff or something, and then always kills herself too. That's anyway, that's a whole other thing. But for me, it looked different. It was like catastrophic anxiety where I would just like walk into a room and it was like a superpower where I could see like every sharp corner, every hot cup of something, every like piece of something that could, it's like, it was just a heightened awareness that I couldn't sleep because I was imagining the worst case scenario and everything. And it really is a biological thing, especially if you have a propensity towards like OCD or compulsive behavior. It is quite likely that you'll have some kind of heightened anxiety after you have your baby, especially if you're not sleeping. So I ended up going on Zoloft, and it helped me tremendously. But I didn't want to be on something for very long. So when about 6 months later, I weaned off of it, and I was fine. And I got pregnant with my daughter when my son was 2. And then in the middle of my pregnancy, I was like, it all came back again. But I didn't want to take something when I was pregnant. So I had to go through all of the like weighing the pros and cons, and I ended up taking something when I was pregnant with her. I went back on the Zoloft during my pregnancy, and it made me feel so much better. I had to weigh like would I rather like the risks of the medication or like the risks of being wildly unhappy. You know, they all affect. The baby shares a blood supply.
And it goes back to like you have to protect your happiness 100%. Yeah. And I struggled because I knew I was dealing with postpartum blues, which is different from the postpartum depression because it kind of fades after. But I would struggle because I was such a proponent of I don't need SSRIs. I think there's a time and place for people that do need it. I felt like I could fight it on my own. And because of that mentality, I was fighting it on my own internally. So I was having this struggle. I was crying in the shower. I was trying to put on this brave face. So it was really hard for sure. But I think it's just day by day with anything.
Are you feeling totally better now?
100% better.
Oh, good.
But I think it comes back to finding time for me again and having that sense of control. And for me personally, that's going to the gym. That's being consistent. That's doing my morning routine. That's taking care of myself again. And it's really hard to do as a mom, but I'm a firm believer of you are the CEO of this so-called company, which is your household. You are the top. If you are suffering, it's going to dwindle down to your marriage and to your children. So I am the most important. Then it's my husband, because that's my team. That's my co-founder. That's my partner of this household. We have to be good. We can't be good unless I'm good. Once we're good, now we can just be the best inspiration leaders, hopefully, for our children to raise good humans. And at the end of the day, like, that's all we can do. And to control this world is to put out good humans.
Yeah.
So I think it starts for me. It's self-care.
I really love that piece of advice, because I think that oftentimes, you know, moms feel like they need to be martyrs and they sacrifice on their own like mental health. Yeah, they like completely flip it. They put everything and everyone before themselves. And what you're saying is absolutely true, where, you know, like, I think kids are so intuitive, and you can totally feel, like, especially your mom's energy, and if it's depleted,
they can pick up on it.
Yeah. So I think what you're saying is, like, so true, and I love that you still prioritize things like taking care of yourself, even though you're a mom.
My kids will pick up on it too, and I've noticed that with other moms. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so whiny and stressful, and I'm like, dude, you're stressing me out right now. Like, for sure, you're stressing out your 6-month-old.
That is for sure. I'm like, you guys are so annoying, and they're like, I'm like, stop, don't yell, and they're like, you're yelling, and I'm like,
well, I have third child syndrome with moms. If you meet someone with 3 kids, they're like, it's fine, they're on the roof, they'll be fine, give them a Band-Aid.
I'm at the point where I'm like, the police are going to come and take you to jail.
Oh my God. Can I say something so bad? I was made a joke, but it was a joke
I'm not a parenting expert, guys.
Well, I was like said under my breath, but Jackson heard he's old enough to start understanding jokes. Like, so he did something. I go, I'm going to drop you off at a fire station. And he started bawling, crying. You said you were going to drop me off. I'm like, I didn't mean it, buddy.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Oh my God.
So I have to watch my mouth now.
I know. But you know what? I think the best, and you didn't ask, but the best parenting advice, I've been apologizing so much for, like, my behavior, and I feel like it's so, like, they really appreciate it.
They do.
I'm like, I'm so sorry, Remy. Like, that wasn't nice of me to tell you that you're going to jail. Yeah. You're only 5. They don't even have cells for you.
Yeah.
And then what did they, like, they're happy?
He's like, they're over it. It's so cute. He goes, Mommy, don't worry, I forgive you. Do you forgive me?
Yes.
And I'm like,
Stop.
I have nothing to forgive you about. You didn't do anything. And he's like, but just forgive me. Like, it's like a game, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
Going to kindergarten.
Oh my gosh.
2 days.
These little humans, they're so funny.
I know.
Okay, so I want to talk about realistic wellness practices / like self-care. Like, what are you guys into right now?
We were just talking about this. I'm a firm believer of I can attest to an evening routine. I wish I was like a hardcore Huberman morning. I try. Some things I do is intermittent fasting. I do this usually 4 or 5 days a week because some days on a Saturday and I'm home with my family, I want a yummy cup of coffee or pancakes with the kids or something. So I believe in an 80-20. I believe to indulge. I think if I want cheesecake on date night, I'm going to have cheesecake on date night. It's okay. I think the secret, everyone wants this big, quick fix. The secret is consistency. And it's just showing up every day and doing the same shit. It's Groundhog's Day, but for me personally, that's what's worked. And having a good evening routine for me, it's magnesium. It's changed my life. Helps with blood circulation, your bones, your mental health, sleep, regular bowel movements, everything. Magnesium, if I could suggest one thing, that has absolutely changed my life. And I talk about this all the time with Aurora, is I believe in colonics. I believe in cleaning out your body.
You do?
Like you clean out your car.
How often do you do a colonic?
Like every 6 weeks.
What?
Yep.
Why don't you just poop on your own?
Yep.
Isn't your body meant to do that?
It's taking out stress from your liver. It's taking out like
it's also
gas.
like apparently
it's
like layers and layers of shit that doesn't come out.
Yes, like that.
That's
should
what
be
I
there
do.
forever.
I'm nervous about them because I
do
know
one.
somebody who has colitis and she thinks that she got colitis from doing too many colonics.
I don't know. I think it's amazing. Personally, I think it's amazing. I feel better, and it's I didn't know this until my gal told me this. It's incredibly hydrating. So I go regularly. I believe in consistency.
I'm gonna do one.
You should.
I've never done it either, but like people have told me like
Life-changing.
such good things about it.
Amazing. It's great. You'll have like a 6-pack after. It's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, do it. So I think consistency is the key for whatever works for you. Everyone's journey and health looks different. And then love food that loves you back. If you're getting bloated from a certain thing, don't eat it. And then hydration, which bitches hate to hear, but
hydration and communication. If there's one thing my ex-husband taught me. Anyway,
wellness things that work for you.
I do hot yoga. It's like saved my life for my whole life. It's something that I always go back to. It's kind of like my church. I really need like a spiritual connection. Like one of the things that's really like that like feeds my soul is just to make sure that I'm feeding my crown chakra, which is your like connection to the source energy. And like I find that in yoga. I find that through the books that I read. I'm a big Audible listener, and I listen to
love Audible.
Yeah, me too.
Love Audible.
I'm obsessed, and like I'm always right now. I'm reading.
What are you
a book,
reading right now?
I'm reading a book called The Unbearable Lightness of Being. I read like the most woo-woo books.
I would say this is
I love
me and
woo-woo
Aurora.
books,
I'm
though.
reading
She reads like Joe Rogan.
I'm reading
and
10X by Grant Cardone.
Oh, I'd say that's a good book.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm a mix of you guys.
I did like David Goggins. All my
Love
stuff
him.
is like, if you looked at my Audible, you'd be like, she okay? Like, is she good? It's all self-help and it's self-improvement, but I love it. Like, I love listening to a good book because I don't know how to read. I don't think I haven't read in forever, but I like to listen to books. And so I do my hot yoga, I do my spiritual books, and I meditate. So those are my big things.
Okay, so since we're talking about books, what are your like top 3 book recommendations?
The Secret changed my life.
Same.
Yeah, that just made me realize, like, not to sound cheesy, but the power within, and that I really can do anything if I just am on the right wavelength. So I believe like you attract everything you put out, good and bad.
Yeah. Do you read Joe Dispenza?
No, but I need to. Actually, I've heard Lauren talk about him.
Oh, he's the one who the mind, body,
you guys,
his spine.
Becoming Superhuman is. So I'm like The Secret changed my life too.
Yeah.
My mom gave it to me years ago, and I feel like it just changed
I feel like
who
The Secret
I was.
has such like a kitschy, like cheesy vibe now.
But this was like, back in the day. Like I'm talking like this was 2014 or 13 when I read it, and like I was a completely different person. It changed who I was, and then obviously I got into this shit. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, unbelievable. Because like, I'm telling you guys, you both need to read Becoming Supernatural.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down right now.
You guys, you can listen to it on Audible. That's what I did. It's like a hefty book, but it's. Okay, there's incredible meditation practices. The manifestation practices in there are like so tangible.
I like that.
The stuff that's happened after I've read that book, like I mean, it's wild.
It's
wild out there, you guys.
No,
so.
I know it's like a different untapped world that I feel like there's a big culture in LA. That's why I love. I feel like a lot of people are into this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And okay, so The Untethered Soul is probably one of my favorites.
Same.
I love
that book.
I also love Marianne Williamson wrote a book years like 1992 called A Return to Love. It's based on A Course in Miracles, which is like it's basically like The Secret. It's like it's like a giant manuscript of a book. Basically just talking about our connection to divinity. I don't know. It's a great book.
I also loved one of my favorites is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And it says it in its title. It basically talks about what's important and what we were talking about. It's not about the things. It's about the family. It's about your health. It's a really fun, easy, good read. And then the 4 Agreements.
The ones
that's
that you
such a
read
good
are
one.
like The Alchemist. It's like the ones that it's like, if you said like, what are the most basic girl self-help books, Kristen, you just named all of them.
Those, and then I read basically anything by a Marine. I love
I bet
Dave.
you also read You Are a Badass, or what's the other? I don't know. There's a few that are just like,
I've
they're
read
like
them all.
on the shelf at Borders.
Yes,
Barnes
got
and Noble.
those. But anything by a Marine, honestly, I love.
Really?
I have a deep obsession.
She's a hard ass
with Marines and Navy SEALs. I just watched The Terminal List on Amazon
really
Prime.
Pretty fucking cool.
Wait, what is a book by a Marine that you love?
What's the David Goggins one?
David Goggins.
Don't Hurt Me.
Is it
You
good?
Can't Hurt Me.
It's amazing. I mean, he's just had such an incredible journey. And like,
is it like an autobiography?
Really
what's the vibe?
It's an autobiography.
Okay. He narrates it, which is great because he speaks just like a human, like a dude, and he's just such a hard no excuses person.
And there's a commentator after every chapter, like him and this other guy break it down, and it's a really good read.
And
I listen.
It just gives you insight of to like the training, especially of what Navy SEALs go through. And I just have tremendous respect for our military and what they do. And I think we only get a glimpse of what they do on our behalfs. Like obviously we don't know 90% of the shit that they do. But I just have a tremendous respect because it takes a very certain type of animal, if you will, to go do what they do.
Yeah.
And I just have the utmost respect. So anyone who can shit on them, our military, our flag, anything, like,
who does?
Do not talk to me. People are shitty people, and I think like the flag, for example, like that represents those men and women. And I just have the utmost respect for them. They are why we live in the greatest country is because of them. All military. So I just have the utmost respect for them.
Okay, so I have to read Can't Hurt
Me, or just fast track, watch Terminal List on Amazon Prime with Chris Pratt. So good.
Really?
So, and he plays being a Navy SEAL because they're very
I don't like
specific.
army movies. Those are for boys.
No, this is like, Ty makes fun of me because I love bro movies. Shocker.
Yeah.
Anything with like SEALs or like just bro,
Really?
like Fast and the
Do you
Furious.
watch
Jason Statham?
Jack
John
Ryan?
Wick?
Jack Ryan. Yeah, John Wick too.
Ryan,
Jack Ryan. That's what I need to watch next.
My husband is obsessed with it.
Really?
Like, oh my god. Okay, so we have audience questions. Okay, so 2, which are like, I mean, it's perfect because it's an easy transition. So number 1 is take us through a week of workouts for both of you guys.
Okay. day?
Mine's usually I work out consistently Monday through Friday at a gym. I go to Equinox. I like to be surrounded by people who really care about their health, and sometimes that means working out somewhere that's way too overpriced, but I like being surrounded. I like the energy of a gym. I like almost knowing people are watching me because then I work harder. It's kind of like I hate working out with people. People are like, you want to work out with me? I'm like, no. I like to put my headphones on and as loud as I can. Do not disturb me. That's like my hour for me.
You're doing resistance training,
I'm
or what are you
doing
doing? Mostly
weight training. And then I love finishing with like 15 to 20 minutes in the sauna or steam room. I like to sweat it out. So mostly just based on like what I want my body to feel like and look like is different from what someone else might like. But for me, I want to embrace my curvy body because that's just what God gave me. So I'm like, what can we work with? Let's just enhance this area a little bit, lift up the booty a little bit. So I like weight training. It's fat burning and builds muscle and keeps your curves. So I do 5 days a week weight training.
Love.
I do hot yoga like maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and then I'll do like a Barry's boot camp, which is cardio with weight training.
Cool.
Yeah. But yoga is more like a spiritual, more like, well, no, it's a hard ass workout where
hot yoga is not a joke.
No, it's rough.
But I feel like at least it has like the mental component too, where like if I only go to a gym, then I feel like I'm missing that. But I mean, if you can give that to yourself, then that's fine. But I'm always like in my head at the gym, like I don't know if I'm using this right.
That's how I feel with yoga. I'm like too ADD, where I'm like, okay, what am I thinking? Okay, what do I have to do later? Like I can't get into that meditative state.
Yeah, to each their own. To each their own.
I, by the way, with you, like love weight training. It makes me feel like so strong.
Yeah.
Like,
Don't fuck with me.
Yeah, no,
love
seriously, like it's my favorite thing. So love that. Okay, so what do you guys both eat in a day? This was also a very popular question.
I start off my morning with athletic greens. drinkag1.com/barely filtered. I don't know. I actually really do love it. I like to fast, and then I'll I guess it doesn't break your fast necessarily. I'll have greens. The first thing I want in my body is something hydrating. So water, greens, and usually tea. And then I'll go to black coffee. And then I'm addicted to sweet greens. I love a big, hefty, protein-rich salad, so I probably have that once a day. And then I'll have like chicken, rice, and veggies usually, something along those lines with like a balanced protein. I believe in carbs because, again, I'm trying to feed a curvy body and gain muscle, so I need healthy carbs, healthy fats. My body reacts well to fat, so we have peanut butter. We have peanut butter every day. Peanut butter, eggs, I can live off of.
Yeah.
So good. What about you?
Not that. That's for damn sure. I wake up and I have that nothing before I have my giant coffee with milk with sugar. But I actually use maple syrup, which just because I don't have sugar right now in my new house, but I like it.
That's good.
Or agave. And I do fast, I guess, because other than my coffee, I don't eat probably until noon. But I'll have like a sandwich or I mean, I eat really normal, guys. Like I don't honestly, I don't like cold food, so I don't like salads. I don't really eat
so
salads.
interesting.
I don't like cold foods. And
Really?
Yeah, I don't like cold food. I don't like salad. Like who wants?
Do you
like,
eat
little,
ice cream or no?
I can make an exception for ice cream.
Can you do smoothies? This is like fascinating.
I mean, like I'll have
like
a
all I
smoothie.
eat is cold food.
No, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I mean, they do say in like Ayurvedic medicine that like you shouldn't put cold food in your body. I don't know. Like I just don't like a salad. But I'll do like a stir fry with like rice, and I don't restrict anything from myself. And lately, since I gave up alcohol, I like my sugar cravings are like whoa, so I'm trying to curb that a little bit, but like I usually make cookies like every single night.
I have dark chocolate every single day.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love a chocolate chip cookie.
And I'm a like magnesium changed my life, and then tea. I believe in tea, and I want to get into ancient like Chinese medicine and their
What
food.
tea? Like what specific
So
tea? Do you
I have
favorites?
rose hips every single night. It fights inflammation, and inflammation is the
but
root
it tastes
cause.
like potpourri. It tastes like my grandma's underwear drawer.
Well, we all have to make sacrifices, Aurora, okay? Rose hips fights inflammation, which is the root of basically all disease. So rose hips every night. Honestly, I have something called the Sunday Special, and it's rose hips with Smooth Move, and it just gets rid of the weekend by traditional medicinal. So it's all herbal. It's not like a true laxative. Peppermint, because hot girls have
So you don't
stomach
even
problems.
have like a caffeinated tea.
But no, I'll have green tea all day.
We both love green tea all
green
day.
Tea and
or
black
like
tea
a
I love.
long tea
Yes.
from Trader Joe's.
Yes.
I do love that.
Yeah. So I just love tea. I think it's good for your body.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, lots of good tips. You guys, tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find us at Barely Filtered Pod. That's on Instagram. You can find me at Aurora Culpo or at Aurora_Culpo on TikTok. If you have Aurora Culpo, please DM me and give it back.
And I'm at Kristen Llewell, and at Barely Filtered Pod. And we love our community.
Thank you guys for being here. This was so
Thank
fun.
you.